Welcome to the Increda-dental podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Flynn. Our goal is to make a positive impact in the dental field. I have been a dental assistant, a biller, an office manager, a scheduler, a hygienist, and a dental coach, which makes me your biggest fan. My husband was in the military and we traveled all over the United States. I had opportunities to work in many different practices, and I saw incredible practices and practices that had a lot of potential within them. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive into the podcast. Welcome to the Increda-dental podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Flynn. Today, we're going to dive into strategies to thrive in any economy because we never know what's going to happen, and being prepared will help your practice move forward. So historically, it's interesting to note that the dental field, the medical field, isn't affected by the economy until about 18 months to 2 years after the economy started to take a downturn. We noticed this in 2008 when the housing market went down, that it took around 18 months before people started saying no to treatment or delaying on their treatment. So that's an interesting thing to note when you start seeing things like this happen in your practice. But don't worry, it comes back. But there are things you can do to help your practice still thrive regardless of what the economy is doing. So one of the first things that we need to know is that people still come in for their cleanings. That's one thing that's fantastic that insurance does help us with, even though sometimes the reimbursement and the way they treat us is not very great. But patients still come in for their cleanings. Now, having your hygienist and your hygiene department clear and verbal on treatment patients need will really bless your practice as well as help your patients to stay healthy. So make sure that your hygienist can explain to patients about the correlation of disease in their mouth to the systemic relationship to the patient's body. When patients understand it affects their whole health, they're more likely to say yes to treatment. So have your hygienist really well read in this department, as well as understanding and being able to explain it to people in layman terms. Because when we're able to explain it where patients understand, they're more likely to say yes. Now, with that though, there's also the adjunct services, offering sealants or desensitizing material, offering patients an irrigation or a laser. Have your hygienist very clear on what looks like preventative care and have them armed with that knowledge of what to tell the patient. Letting the patient know, for example, it costs a lot less money to do a sealant than it would do to do a filling here. It would save you time. You wouldn't have to get numb. And we could place a sealant today on this area, and the cost to you would be $85. But a filling would be around $175. What would you rather do? And then patients can choose what they want. Have them help the patients realize that they're actually saving them money and time, and that they're helping them stay healthier. And then make sure you block for SRP appointments as well as new patients appointments. Patients do not want to wait. You go through and you explain the disease that's active in their mouth, the active infection, and then you tell them, we'll see you in 4 months. We have just kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and we need to make sure that we are able to explain to the patients that, yes, they have active disease, and we're going to get you in the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now, if you don't have blocks and you're scheduled out 5 months or 6 months, start adding your blocks now because it's not going to get better. You have to be intentional about doing this to help your patients to become healthier. Another thing that we see is we see an increase in emergency patients during a dental recession or an economy recession, if you will. So make sure you do one or two things. One, have a chair that's available for emergency patients. Or number two, if you're like, I don't have a chair available, they're always busy, they're always full. Make sure your front office is checking with a dental assistant on where's the best place to put an emergency patient that day or the next day, because we want to get the patients in as soon as possible. Because what we're finding is that there's an increase of the amount of patients that are calling and looking for emergency appointments. And if you offer an emergency appointment online, they're more likely to call and schedule or take that emergency time. So you want to be able to show that you have time available to see that emergency patient. The next thing we want to do is be able to offer some upgrades to the emergency patients. So we get an emergency patient in, they've broken a tooth, but the tooth next to it doesn't look good. It's got a filling, it's cracked, there's decay around it. Let them know, I can take care of this one tooth that needs a crown, but this tooth next door to it, there's a lot of decay on it as well.
while you're here and doing treatment, would it be all right if we go ahead and take care of that other tooth so that way you don't need a crown on the tooth next to it? It'll save you time, it's going to save you money, and you're already numb and you're here. So when we do this for our patients, we're showing them that we're looking out for them. So offer upgrades to the patient so that way they understand. Another way you could do this is if they're in just for a limited exam, you could offer to them, we can look over your entire mouth and see where you're at, or just look at this one spot. It's totally up to you. I just wanted to offer you this option. And it's also if you have time, but be aware that when you upgrade what they can do that day and they need it, you're more likely to win and have the patient say yes to treatment. The last thing I want to talk about is the insurance. If patients have $1,000 left on their insurance and they're going to lose that insurance in January, call your patients that have uncompleted treatment or that are in the chair for emergency treatment or any treatment. Let them know you have $1,000 here that is sitting on your insurance that will not renew till next year. And if you need some major treatment next year, you're going to run out of money. I think it would be best if we do this treatment and get you scheduled in this year. So that way this decay doesn't get larger, this crack doesn't get bigger, and we're saving you time and money and reserving funds for next year in case something happens. So come at it as if you're an advocate to them, because we really are our patient's advocate, and come from that angle, and patients will more likely say yes to treatment. You want to offer financing if that's what is available for your practice. I encourage you not to carry that bill if it's over 30 to 90 days. Have third-party financing for your patients. Patients often need now an opportunity to make monthly payments on their medical treatment. And then have amazing phone skills. What does this look like if a patient calls and they say, I know I have this area on my lip and I'm not sure if it's cold sore or if it's a blister or if this is like a cancer spot because I used to chew. What can I do? I don't know what to do here. Make sure your staff is armed and that they know the right wording. And they'll say, I can't tell you over the phone what it is, but our dentist here is amazing. And they have had years of experience and they'll be able to diagnose you correctly and take a look so that way you don't have to worry about this area anymore. We want to get you in. How does 10:15 today? Does that work for you? Let them know you're doing them a favor and get them in the schedule, but have really strong verbal skills on the phone. So let's recap real quick. Make sure your hygiene team has excellent verbal skills, that they're able to explain the systemic disease and periodontal disease, as well as offer upgrades. Number 2, maximize your emergency time. Get your emergency patients in and give them upgrades too. Offer them an upgrade to take care of more than just one area or the area in their mouth, whether it's next door or down below. Offer to treat that too if they're ready to have more than just a limited exam, if they're ready for a comprehensive exam as you have time. And make sure your front office and your dental assistants are communicating about the best place to put that emergency patient. Number 4, is that 4? I think number 3, actually. Call patients and let them know about their insurance. They're going to be losing it and it doesn't renew it doesn't add on to their next year. So let them know that they're going to lose that benefit. Be clear on your communication that you're there to help them. And the last one, number 4, have amazing phone skills. Have your team know how to let the patient know that you, the dental owner, the dentist, they're the professional. And they're there and they're going to diagnose the patient and put their mind at peace and help them move forward so they get the best care possible. Thanks for joining me. Have an amazing day.